Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Namaste everyone, and welcome to the last day of our Navaratri Sadhana. Let's begin. Omkara, and preparing for Omkara. Sitting comfortably. Stable posture. Stable asana if you're sitting cross-legged or Padmasana. If you're sitting on a chair, make sure your feet are firmly on the ground. Shoulders soft, abdomen soft. Back supported, straight but soft. Soften the features on your face. Watch your breath for a few moments. Inhaling deeply for Omkara. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaḥ Harihi Om. Om Ganana Antva Ganapatigam Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrinvannotibhissida Sadhanam Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebhirvajinivati Bhinama Vitryavatu Ano Divo Brihatah Parvatada Saraswati Ajata Gantu Yajnam Havan Devi Jujushana Ghritachi Shagman No Vachamushati Shrunotu Vagdevyai Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Preparing for pranayam. Take 2 deep cleansing breaths. Two rounds of Bastrika, followed by Kapalbhati. 20, 30, 40. Take 2 deep cleansing breaths at the end of your Kapalbhati and move on to 5 rounds of Surya Bhedana, 5 rounds of Chandra Bhedana, and then 10 rounds, that is 5 rounds of Nadi Shodhana with your mudra and 5 rounds without your mudra. Watch your breath. Watch the quality of your breath. If you're still performing the Nadi Shodhana without your mudra, become aware of the subtlety with which the breath moves, that you are aware of Nadi Shodhana. At the end of your practice, please take on the Namaskara Mudra, so I'm aware that your practice is complete. Place your palms in your lap. We will now prepare for Mantra Sadhana. Introspecting first on a few integral universal questions. Who am I? Who am I? Allow the questions to be heard and the answers to spontaneously arise and arrive into your consciousness. Who am I? What do I want? What do I really want? Answers may be physical, material, financial, relational, spiritual, emotional needs. Anything that you desire, you want. What do I want? What is my purpose in life? How can I help? How can I serve? What is my swadharma? What am I grateful for? What am I thankful for? With your next inhale, gather all of these questions and answers. And as you exhale deeply, allow the answers to drift away, as if lifting off from you. Very gently bring to mind your Guru Mantra or Om. And mentally repeat it. Now gently shift the practice by mentally repeating the mantra at every inhale. Now repeat the mantra at every exhale. Now, just as easily and effortlessly, think the mantra at every inhale and exhale. Continue repeating the mantra. I'll watch the time and let you know when we move on to the next phase of mantra sadhana. Now gently stop thinking the mantra and sit comfortably. We'll now move into mantra sadhana, the chanting of the verses. 32 names of Ma Durga repeated 3 times. Om Durga Durgarti Shamani Durga Padvini Varini Durga Machedini Durga Sadhini Durga Nashini Durga Todharini Durga Nihantri Durga Mapaha Durga Madhyanada Durga Daitya Lokadavanala Durga Ma Loka Durga Matma Swarupini Durga Marga Prada Durga Mavidya Durga Mashrita Durga Madhyana Sanstana Durga Madhyana Bhasini Durga Moha Durga Maga Durga Martha Swarupini Durga Ma Sura Samhantri Durga Ma Yudharini Durga Magi Durga Mata Durga Mya Durga Meshwari Durga Bhima Durga Bhama Durga Bha Durga Darini Om Durga Durgarti Shamani Durga Padvini Varini Durga Machedini Durga Sadhini Durga Nashini Durga Todharini Durga Nihantri Durga Mapaha Durga Madhyanada Durga Daitya Lokadavanala Durga Ma Loka Durga Matma Swarupini Durga Marga Prada Durga Mavidya Durga Mashrita Durga Madhyana Sanstana Durga Madhyana Bhasini Durga Moha Durga Maga Durga Martha Swarupini Durga Ma Sura Samhantri Durga Ma Yudharini Durga Magi Durga Mata Durga Mya Durga Meshwari Durga Bhima Durga Bhama Durga Bha Durga Darini Om Durga Durgarti Shamani Durga Padvini Varini Durga Machedini Durga Sadhini Durga Nashini Durga Todharini Durga Nihantri Durga Mapaha Durga Madhyanada Durga Daitya Lokadavanala Durga Ma Loka Durga Matma Swarupini Durga Marga Prada Durga Mavidya Durga Mashrita Durga Madhyana Sanstana Durga Madhyana Bhasini Durga Moha Durga Maga Durga Martha Swarupini Durga Ma Sura Samhantri Durga Ma Yudharini Durga Magi Durga Mata Durga Mya Durga Meshwari Durga Bhima Durga Bhama Durga Bha Durga Darini Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Durga Suktam. Om Jata Vedase Sunavam Soma Marati Yato Nidahati Vedaha Sanaf Parshadati Durgani Vishwanaveva Sindhunduritat Yagnihi Tam Agnivarnan Tapasa Jwalantim Vairochanim Karma Phaleshu Jushtaam Durgan Devi Gum Sharanamaham Prapadye Sutarasi Tarase Namaha Agne Tvam Parayanavyo Asmant Swasti Bhirati Durgani Vishwa Uscha Prithvi Bahulana Urvi Bhavato Kayatanaya Yashanyoho Vishwanino Durgaha Jata Vedas Sindhunna Nava Duritati Parshi Agne Atrivan Manasa Granano Osmakam Bodhya Vitatanuna Pritanajitagum Sahamana Mugram Agnigum Huvema Paramat Sadhasthaat Sanaf Parshadati Durgani Vishwakshama Devo Ati Duritat Yagnihi Pratnoshi Kamidyo अध्वरेषु सनाच्च होतानव्यश्च सत्सि स्वाञ्च आग्ने तनुवं पिप्रयस्वास्मभ्यं च सौभगमायजस्व गोभिर्जुष्टमयुजो निषिक्तन्तवे एन्द्रविष्णोरनुसञ्चरेम नाकस्य पृष्ठमभिसंवसानो वैष्णवीर्लोक इह मादयन्ताम् ॐ कात्यायनाय विद्महे कन्याकुमारी धीमहि तन्नो दुर्गिः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः मेधा सूक्तम् ॐ मेधा देवी जुषमाणान आगा आद्विश्वाची भद्रा सुमनस्य माना त्वया जुष्टानुदमाना दुरुक्ता आन् बृहद्वदेम विदथे सुवीरा आह त्वया जुष्टऋषिर्भवति देवि त्वया ब्रह्मा गतश्रीरुतत्वया त्वया जुष्टश्चित्रं विन्दते वसुसानो जुषस्वद्रविणो न मेधे मेधाम इन्द्रो ददातु मेधां देवी सरस्वती मेधां मे अश्विनावुभावाधत्तां पुष्करस्रजा अप्सरासु च या मेधा गन्धर्वेषु च यन्मनः दैवी ईं मेधा सरस्वती सामा आं मेधा सुरभिर्जुषताग स्वाहा आमा आं मेधा सुरभिर्विश्वरूपा हिरण्यवर्णा जगती जगम्या ऊर्जस्वती पयसा पिन्वमाना सामा आं मेधा सुप्रतीका जुषन्ताम् मयि मेधा मयि प्रजां मयि यज्ञस्तेजो दधातु मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मयीन्द्रेन्द्रियं दधातु मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मयि सूर्यो भ्राजो दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः श्रद्धा सूक्तम् ॐ श्रद्धयाग्निः समिध्यते श्रद्धया विन्दते हविः श्रद्धां भगस्य मूर्धनि वचसा वेदयामसि प्रियग्श्रद्धे ददतः प्रियग्श्रद्धे दिदासतः प्रियं भोजेषु यज्वसु इदं उदितं कृधि यथा देवा असुरेषु श्रद्धामुग्रेषु चक्रिरे एवं भोजेषु यज्वसु अस्माकमुदितं कृधि श्रद्धां देवा यजमानाः वायुगोपा उपासते श्रद्धागुं हृदयया कूत्या श्रद्धया हूयते हविः श्रद्धां प्रातर्हवामहे श्रद्धां मध्यं दिनं परि श्रद्धागुं सूर्यस्य निमृचि श्रद्धे श्रद्धापयेहमा श्रद्धा देवानधिवस्ते श्रद्धा विश्वमिदं जगत् श्रद्धां कामस्य मातरम् हविषा वर्धयामसि ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Allow the vibrations of the mantras, the suttas, to settle down around you. Feel the vibration in every cell, in every pore of your body, every part of your body. When you feel the sounds and the vibrations settling down, slowly start becoming aware of the weight of your body on the ground or on the seat. Gently expand your awareness to the space around you. Become aware that you are safely practicing your sadhana. Become aware of sounds around you, sound of my voice. Very gently bring your palms together to heart center, Namaskara Mudra. Bowing your head very gently towards the tips of your fingers. Gently rub your palms together. When they're nice and warm, place your cupped palms on your eyes and across your face. Looking into your palms as you gently flutter your eyelids open. Hari Om Tat Sat. Day 9 of Navaratri. Night 9, if required. It's the 9th Ratri. The last form of the Navadurga, whom we celebrate today on this Navami, also known as the Mahanavami, is Ma Siddhidātryai. Siddhidātryai. Datri is the one who gives, the giver. Siddhi, all the different siddhis, all the different supernatural powers, supernatural gifts that a devotee, a sadhaka, a bhakta will receive, not just because they show up to a practice, but because they fully embody the practice, because of their earnest heat of tapas. It's when the sadhaka's practice is tempered with the heat of devotion. That's what we, the last sukta that, the last suktam that I chanted, the Shraddha suktam. It's that Shraddha which would permeate every aspect of your practice. Shraddha eventually is what gets us through from, do I need to do this, or I just have to do this because it needs doing, not because of the outcome of it. And that's your Shraddha. Shraddha is what takes you through when you don't have all the answers. You just have maybe 5 pieces of a 5,000-piece jigsaw, but you still show up because that is the piece that you have, or those are the pieces that you have. That is Shraddha. Not blind, but because you have that much faith that those pieces fit into a puzzle. That is Shraddha. It's not blind, superstitious faith. It is a lifeline. A lifeline when you don't have anything else to support you, anything else to give you any structure. It is that. And the other suktam that we chanted today was Medha Suktam. Medha Suktam is a suktam that the energy of that Medha is for that intellectual capacity that a sadhaka needs. You don't just show up and sit and listen and say, Lavina says that even if we don't know, we just show up, and I'm showing up. But you show up if you do not work towards absorbing what is being taught by your teachers or in any discourse, then again, that doesn't show direction. And that's why we have eligibility. Is your vessel sufficiently emptied to make clear enough space for the knowledge to come in? Ideally, we should be completely empty, but we aren't. We come to a teaching, we come to a teacher with preconceived notions, prior learning. Sometimes it isn't even learning. It is prior reading, prior listening, and then prior labeling and affixing of all sorts of ideas into our mind. And then when you do come to a teacher, you also have all the bad habits of putting the onus on others to prove your misconceptions wrong. And only then will you learn it. See, so there is a difference in which how you approach a teaching. When you approach a teaching, do you place what you already know aside so that you can get knowledge? Or do you come into a practice saying, I have been learning or I have been reading, and you'll hear this many times. I have read somewhere, I heard somewhere, but when you have a book in hand, you can't really question a book, can you? Right? You have the opportunity when you're with a teacher. And I think it's a lot of punyam to receive, or, to find yourself a teacher who has the grace and the patience to teach repeatedly sometimes, and sometimes to the same student over and over again. And we see that all the time. We do that all the time. We ask our teachers sometimes the same question, and then you remember when the answer is given, say, oh, we were told that. Now, why do we say all of this? Ma Siddhidātryai, he is that giver of all of these gifts. But just by celebrating her or worshipping her, take the word that you prefer, okay, whichever word resonates with you. You're not just going to get these siddhis, right? You can't just come in for a 9-day Navaratri Sadhana and say, hey, day 9, Siddhidātryai, I'm getting all of these things. It doesn't work that way, right? But the devotion to your practice will eventually open that up to you. And we've seen that in multiple scriptures that we've studied. We've seen that in the Bhagavad Gita. We've seen that in the Yoga Sutras. They're there. There's a whole chapter in the Yoga Sutras that is only talking about the siddhis, right? And this is all important to know. But let's see a little bit about why we're having all of this. At this point, on this Mahanavami, is when that Asura, Mahishasura, was finally killed. There's no better word for that. Okay? Mahishasura was killed, and it was the ultimate victory of the Divine Mother over evil. Okay? And I think we've spoken enough over the past days about Asura and what the Asuras are, so we don't need to repeat that again. But there's something very unique about Siddhidātryai, okay, and about the mother. When the universe was created, okay, when the universe was created, Lord Shiva, as Rudra, worshipped the Divine Mother, the Adi Parashakti. Okay, Adi is the first. Parashakti is the Shakti that is above and beyond everything, like the ultimate, Shakti. And he worshipped her. And because the Parashakti is formless, Parashakti is not the form of Shakti that you can see, right? It is the intangible. To give you an example, how many of you have an iPhone? Or how many of you? Okay, everyone has a mobile, right? So how many of you have a mobile? All right, thank you. So you all have a mobile, even the ones with the videos off, we know you have a mobile. But say 80 years ago, the mobile didn't exist. The physical mobile didn't exist, right? But the idea of a mobile that came into some person's head, many, I don't know what, some 20, 30 years ago, maybe, right? Must have come in and they must have had all sorts of different devices. But before that idea came into that individual's head or mind, that idea was still an idea somewhere in an intangible form. Agree? Before a new thing is created, for that idea to arrive into someone's mind, into any of our minds, the idea has to be somewhere to come into our awareness. It's not being created in here. We don't have a machine in here that creates a new idea. It's a thought that comes in. It's a thought form. So that idea of the iPhone or the idea of the mobile device, or the idea of the mobile device technology or whatever it is, was somewhere in the ethers before it crystallized into even the prototype of it into an individual's head. Okay, that ethereal concept of the phone is like a para form of the iPhone. Okay. Aditi, who's here with us, for example, she makes all sorts of innovative ice creams. Okay. Yes, Rishabh, you can have some questions. Okay. So Aditi makes all sorts of ice creams. Now, she makes a lot of ice creams with flavor combinations that we do know of. But as far as I know, Aditi, she surprises us with some eccentric ideas as well. And we don't know where these ideas come from. I mean, most of her ice creams I'm willing to try. Some of them are a bit scary, but where do these ideas come from? Before she makes them, before she says, do I have the ingredients and I want to make this, where does that eccentric combination arrive into her head, right? That combination exists somewhere, and that's in para form. Before it actually crystallizes in her head and she can see it and imagine it, and then she goes and puts it out in practice. Right? So I'm just giving you this example of what para means. So that Adi Parashakti was that form of the divine that that is not tangible, that has not been manifested. Okay. So when Shiva, as Rudra, was worshipping the divine, and she had to give a form of herself to him, she took on, or she emanated from one side of him and took on a feminine form. And that's why we have the Ardhanareshwari, right? That form of Shiva, which is both feminine and masculine in equal halves. So you've seen that, and I didn't actually download that image for you, but you can go and look it up on Google. It is that balance. It is that the balance of the Purusha and the Prakriti, or actually it is the balance of Shiva and Shakti, that union of ultimate consciousness. Okay. That form of the Divine Mother is what is worshipped during Mahanavami. It's the ultimate move of our awareness from Mooladhara to Sahasrara and beyond. And beyond, because when you're still at Sahasrara, you're still sitting there. But it is that fusion, that union, which goes beyond your awareness. You don't realize that has happened, that union. That is what is celebrated today. All of these are different kathas, different stories that come in together, but they fit in here. Because you can't talk about that ultimate union when, say when a fight is still going on, when Chanda and Munda are still coming in forward and saying, our general wants you, you need to come with us. So you don't do it that way. The conversation around Mahanavami is around that ultimate defeat of Mahishasura. Okay. And that's when the Divine Mother is fully celebrated. And at that point in time, through that kind of a devotion, through that kind of defeat of your Mahishasura, your own personal Mahishasuras, not the smaller ones, right? The Mahishasura that is defeated, that is when we have the celebration of that victory. And in that celebration, we also receive all of these gifts of abundance and clarity. And you'll find that in Ma Siddhidātryai's 4 arms, you find a lotus, which usually depicts a lot of knowledge. Okay. Shankha also, the conch, right, for knowledge, for abundance, for purity and sanctity. And then here you've got the 2 weapons. You've got a mace in her hand, which also is like a vanquishing of all evil. And in this upper hand, she's got, do you know what that is? Do you know what this is? Yeah. It is the Sudarshan Chakra. Okay. The ultimate chakra. There is a chakra. The Sudarshan Chakra is also there in Vishnu's hand. You can look up and see what that is. Okay. The Sudarshan Chakra. And celebrating any of these celebrating the divine is actually a part of Shraddha, is a part of our Shraddha, is a part of us acknowledging that there is so much more to receive. And this is a tricky one, okay? And I know we repeat this multiple times. You're not working towards a siddhi, okay? Your practice of yoga, even in the Yoga Sutras, is not so that you receive those siddhis. Those siddhis will happen. It's like if you dip a cloth in water, it will get wet. It won't remain dry. Even if it's waterproof, there will be some water sticking onto it. It will not get wet, but it will still have some droplets of water stick to it. Okay. So if you dip a cloth in water, you will get wet, or the cloth will get wet. If you practice yoga in the way of the Yoga Sutras, without excuses, you will get those siddhis. Okay. But you don't come into yoga in order to get those siddhis, because if your goal is to get the siddhis and not for chitta shuddhi and not for the sake of yoga, then there is a risk of you attaining those siddhis just like the asuras did. And that is one of the reasons why a lot of this knowledge was not made freely available to everyone. So accessible yoga in the terms or in the context of the essential yoga philosophy is dangerous. So that's why it's so important to really understand what yoga means. What is the definition of yoga, right? It is not asana. We're not saying, okay, everyone, okay, you can't touch your toes. We'll elevate the floor to you, will allow the toes to come up to your fingers so you can touch them. That is a completely different thing. But to not understand what you mean by this knowledge should be made available to everyone, who in present times is eligible, who you can without a doubt say, this person is eligible for the entirety of the yoga philosophy. Can you vouch for someone to get these siddhis and not misuse them? Can you today? In all the leaders whom we have, the leaders of the world, can you without a doubt say that our leaders should be practicing yoga? We've heard this. We hear this all the time. The leaders of our nations should practice yoga, because then they will. Do you think that when they practice yoga, that they'll get these siddhis and they'll do good for us? Can you say that without a doubt? Think of all the yoga leaders whom we know of, whoever you think of. Can you vouch for them to practice yoga and receive these siddhis and do good with them? So you need to be eligible. And that eligibility only comes from Shraddha, from your eligibility, from the ability also of you to even hold the capacity to have this abundance. And that preparation for that capacity is in your hands. That is in your control. So your job is only and only to purify this vessel to contain as and when any amount or any drops of knowledge reach you. It's not your job to force feed yourself the knowledge. And one of my friends was mentioning this on her caption very recently. And she said, don't let FOMO bring you down. It's like, there are so many great courses that are there. There are so many great teachers teaching, and I need to learn everything because I might miss out. You won't miss out on anything. You will receive what you need to receive. Either the time will suit you, or the time zone permitting, that will suit you. Something or the other will make it happen. And if you find yourself there, then that's where you need to be. Okay. So, Siddhidātryai, a very interesting form in which you need to know, right? Like what are these siddhis, but still knowing that in that compassion and in that grace, the grace towards your Shraddha, you will receive that. How do we know that the idea isn't generated internally and exists a priori? Okay, so how do you know that it exists a priori? Because it exists because we all have existed multiple times. Okay, no idea, actually, and in present times, no idea is essentially unique. No idea is unique. Try Google. Put a question out there. Someone somewhere may have asked that question before. Whether they worked on the answer, whether they received the final answer, we don't know. But the question may have arisen. At this point in time, I don't think any idea is really new anymore. But still we have new inventions. We have people inventing new things all the time. Is that invention really new? Or is it just a modification or a combination of prior inventions? Most of the ideas exist within us, Rishabh, and that is because the entire universe and the entire cosmic mind exists within us. It's like you get a seed or you get an apple seed, and in an apple you may have 4 or 5 seeds, and each seed may give you 4 or 5 apple trees, and each tree will have some 20,000 apples or more, whatever, and each apple will have 5 seeds. So that one seed has the potential for that one apple, or that one seed has the potential for multiple others. So you can see how one tangible outcome, one manifested seed, one manifested apple or the seed has not only the potential for all future trees, apple trees and seeds, but also brings with it the memory and the imprint of all the past. And that's why when we are here today, we not only have the imprint and the memories of our ancestors, but we also carry with us the seed and that memory for future generations, if we so choose to have them. And the mind, the entire complex of the mind is, there is one part of it which is my mind, which I am thinking in a very reduced way of what to say next, how to answer this question, or, that's my mind. And your mind processing it, Patty, Rachel, Kristen's mind, all of their minds processing it. But there are some parts of all of our minds which then becomes a part of the universal whole. That's where we have archetypes. That's where we have this collective energy. That's where we have a collective understanding also. And this consciousness that we have, this underlying consciousness, which is the substratum of all of our existence, is from where ideas arise. And those ideas are all in para form. Whatever one can create exists in an unmanifested form before it arrives. How do you create a new thought? How do you create a new thought? You can't create a new thought. In fact, a thought is what you create, is what gets created. A thought is what gets manifested. And sometimes that's where, when you're meditating, for lack of a better word, is when you're quieting your mind so that this mishmash of your everyday thoughts, which are constantly being, regurgitated, start spacing out. And in those spaces and in those gaps, you allow yourself to tap into this substratum of silence and stillness and all potential, because at some point in time before the entire universe was created, everything was just soup. Eventually, this entire universe and all the multiverses will go into the state of pralaya. Everything will just be, mashed into or dissolved. We'll be in a state of dissolution, where all the great ideas that you bring to the table, all the great ideas that I have, all the iPhones of the world, all the new iPhones of the world, all the old ones, everything, the typewriters and the keyboards and everything comes together and becomes one unrecognizable primordial soup. So that when the next round of creation begins, it comes from this basic stock. And even though we may begin with nothingness again, you still have ideas in this soup that will arise as and when people and humanity or existence or beings, sentient creation evolves enough to have that next set of ideas come in. Vague, abstract, but does that make some sense? Rishabh? Thank you. So it is the end of our sadhana. And it has been an absolute joy. I can't tell you enough how light and uplifting, and there is a certain something to the quality of the sadhana year after year during Navaratri, when I technically wake up even a little much before Brahma Muhurtam. Okay, so those of you who know me know I wake up at 4, but about 10 days before Navaratri, I somehow start getting up a little earlier, anywhere between 3:20 and 3:45. Okay. And I'm still fine with it. Even if I've had a late night the previous day, like I usually have on Monday nights. Okay. Which was for me just now. But the day seems very uplifting. This day seems very joyous, very light, very light. And I don't see any compulsion in the sadhana either. It's a very gentle practice. It's a very gentle awareness. It's a very gentle, just move. You're just moving through, but there is a structure. There is a semblance of grounded evolution, even through the practice. And I was thinking about this yesterday, because we've had off late, and I don't know why, because we weren't informed, but we've had quite a few power cuts. Okay. And for those of you who are also recognizing the difference in my surroundings, I have moved homes, right? And I mean, I think some of you have been there all, through the time of, I remember one of you who's not, who only watches the recordings because of the time zone. She mentioned, and she's like, how's your son? I remember he used to be on the PlayStation before. And some of you were in those classes where you could see him right at this last little edge of the screen. You could see the edge of the TV mounted on the wall, and you could see a little bit of his gaming going on. And then there were other times where you had my children just walking around this area behind me, or, trying not to get into the screen. So you've all been a part of this. So why I shared this is the move from that to where we are now is very comfortable. You're not practicing with someone outside. You're very familiar with me, as am I with you. So the practice that I'm sharing, yes, I am here. I'm the one speaking, and I'm the one sharing. So I'm facilitating that sadhana. But we're doing this together. And that's what Navaratri or any of the festivals in our culture and tradition are. Our festivals are a time and opportunity for us to introspect, for us to work on ourselves individually, but it is always supported by family and community. It's a different thing that today many families and communities forget that they are actually celebrating to help each other grow spiritually. And they think it's all about the music and the food and the celebration. But hey, if that is what is going to spur you on to recognize the togetherness, the coming togetherness of the practice, or of the reason behind the practice, so be it. This sadhana is an opportunity for us to celebrate together. We're not related. I don't have any of my relatives on. Do I have anyone today? No, I don't have anyone. But many of you know that over the years, you have developed a relationship with me. Some of you, I feel like you're my younger siblings, and you know who you are, because I've said that multiple times. Others are very dear friends. Others, and many of you, have actually moved beyond the formal student-teacher relationship, and there is a freedom of conversation, or an openness in the conversation, and that is what the sadhana is here for. It is so that we bring each other, or we walk with each other as long as we can. Okay, as long as this life will permit us. And I say this particularly, this wasn't planned, but I thought of it now when I said it. Over the last couple of weeks, there were a number of people who I know who have passed on. There were a number of deaths, including one of a gentleman who I met very recently, just maybe about 2 months back. And we would, socialize weekly, every week, every Monday, actually. And he was traveling to Turkey. His son got married last year, but because of COVID, they couldn't celebrate. So they had gone all together as a family to Turkey to celebrate in grand style. And then he was to come back here. And my partner and I were to meet him in Mangalore, which is my hometown, where they would have another celebration. And not only were we invited, I was also supposed to have my brother do the photography and all of that. So we were planning everything. And we found out, or we were told, that on the day of the reception in Turkey, he had a heart attack and he died. And I say this not only to remember him, but also to tell you that it is sad, but he brought in a lot to the table till the last day that I met him. And it is an invitation for all of us to recognize that we are all moving. Okay? And we need to make every interaction of ours count. Not for the sake of being remembered, but for the sake of remembering ourselves, for remembering each other. It's for our own selves. And community is not only community when all of us are physically with each other. Let's see, in this class or in this session, I have met Aarti, I have met Tarini, Nita, I think yes, we've met at a workshop. I've met Ekta physically. I don't know who else is there, the ones who are not present, but I've met you, right? But the others, we haven't met physically, but we know each other fairly well, as much as we allow ourselves to be known. But this Sangha or this Satsang also is important. It's important for all of us. And I am eternally grateful to Navaratri, year after year after year. In fact, I think every Navaratri, about 10 days before Navaratri, I will have a couple of you, and some of you know who you are because you'll message me. I can't wait for it, So I can't wait for Navaratri. I can't wait for your sadhana. It is that coming together. It's like an annual reunion, a family reunion of sorts. Yeah. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you for your trust. Thank you for your shraddha. Thank you for your presence. You need to thank yourselves for who you are, for taking the step for whatever you're taking. Your reasons are your own, but it's very important that you remember them because you're doing this for your own. This is your shraddha for your practice and your evolution. So, well done. I wish you all a very happy Dasara, a very happy Navami, and may Ma Durga bring a lot of love and peace and happiness in your lives of your dear ones. And I hope to see you all in other interactions, online, offline. If any of you are thinking of visiting or would like to visit India to study, to experience and study at the same time, I am putting together something. And if you would like to study with me in person, I saw that face, Kristen and Ekta, but I saw that, I didn't miss it. But if you are thinking about it, and if you would like to consider it, send me a message, okay? And I will keep you informed about the details. I leave you all with a lot of love. Does anyone want to say anything? Would anyone like to add something? Any thoughts before I close? Okay, that's what, okay, I see the hearts. All right. Okay, then. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a very pleasant festive season. Eat well, There are lots of things that you'll get to celebrate the festive season. Enjoy it. Celebrate. And I will see you all soon. Hari Om Tat Sat. Namaste. Thank you very much.